Welcome to another informational show about social media marketing. If you're a band, a business, or use social networking, you want to hear Highway to Success with your host, Cynthia McIntosh.
And good afternoon, everyone. It is a beautiful, sunny Southern California day. Life is good, and there is absolutely no place that I would rather be than right here on the Highway to Success show with our Indie 104 listeners. I look forward every week to bringing special guests to our radio show to provide our listeners with tools that will help them to find their way to success. It doesn't matter if you're a musician, business owner, or organization. I'm sure you will enjoy our special guests and will learn new and exciting ways of improving your business. My question today, however, is for our listeners that are indie musicians. And here's the question. Do you know what a producer does? Actually, better yet, do you know if you need one? If you're not sure how to answer this question, then stay tuned, and you may be really surprised at the answer. Today's show is going to be a really powerful, informative one. I found our guest today to be absolutely fascinating, and I can't wait to introduce him to all of you. He's a visionary composer, acclaimed filmmaker, and master percussionist. He knows how to make a show really come to life, and he has performed and choreographed drumming for the NFL, the Walt Disney Company, Hewlett-Packard, Hollywood Pictures, PBS, national touring artists, and major MMA events. He's considered by his peers to be one of the most innovative, hardworking, driven, and multifaceted artists you'll ever meet. His music has a tribal edge that is both epic and relevant. He has sold out concerts and headlined in Las Vegas with bigger-than-life shows, and he's going to share his experiences with us today and tell us what he believes really makes those shows work. And you don't want to miss what he has to say. So stay tuned to the Highway to Success show here on Indie 104, and we'll be back with you and our special guest right after this.
Yeah.
And we're back with Highway to Success with Cynthia McIntosh.
Welcome back to the Highway to Success show. You were just listening to Bobby Manriquez and his song Find That Love. You can hear more of Bobby Manriquez on bobbymanriquez.com. And now I'm so excited to introduce our guest today, C.G. Ryche. Welcome, C.G. It's so exciting to get to talk to you today.
I appreciate you having me. Looking forward to it.
I am really excited. I spent a bunch of time on your website today, and I could not get enough of it. It was amazing. I can't wait to have you on the show today and have you talk to our listeners. I'm really thrilled.
Your check's in the mail.
Good deal. I need it. Wonderful. Hey, so tell me a little bit about what you do.
Well, most people know me as a percussionist, multi-percussionist. I've been playing about 3 decades, and I've done everything from choreographing drums for things like the NFL, PBS, HP in Vegas, as well as Vegas shows, etc., to, playing behind major artists and drum festivals, yada, yada, yada. That's what I'm probably best known for. But also, as an artist, I'm a composer. I write music. I used to score for films. Now I have my own solo project that I'm doing a lot of stuff with. You can catch that on PBS nationwide. As a filmmaker, I do a lot of stuff in the music industry, from a lot of live performances, from band performances. I work with some of the best drummers in the world, from Steve Smith, Dave Weckl, Virgil Donati. You name it, stuff like that, and for big companies like Remo, Paiste, etc. So, and as a record producer, I've been producing for about 20 years. I've studied with Paul Tucker back in the day, and it sounds like a lot, but really, I think each one of those things, there's a craft to learn, but behind the scenes, there's one thing you do. A lot of people say you're a very multi-faceted guy, but the reality of it is I do one thing and I do it well. I know how to tell a story. I've just learned how to do it in different mediums, and I've studied with the who's who to be able to do that. So that's kind of my background as an artist, percussionist, etc.
Yeah, we were talking before the show, and I was telling you that when I went on your website and watched your videos, the one thing that really jumped out at me was that you do not just get up there and sing or play music, or you definitely put on a production. I mean, you really do. So how did you really get into that? Because you do things in a very unique style.
I believe in life you can always find somebody more connected, more talented, more money behind them, better looking, whatever category you want to find. There's always someone else out there that can do it better. But the reality of it is nobody can be you better than you. And so when you take those, how you see music and how, your perspective on things, and only you can do that like you can do it. So, my extension of what I do musically is an extension of who I am and how I see music. And then I've just worked very hard at my craft to learn how to convey those emotions or ideas, not just audibly or performance-wise, technically-wise, but also visually, because I think both go hand in hand. I think a lot of people forget about that, and they just think, about how technical they can be. The technical guy is always the better guy, but that's not always true. There's a big difference between a great guitarist and a rock star.
That's very true.
A rock star get in front of, mass people and make them want more. A musician, is somebody who can maybe get in front of, 50 musicians at a jazz club and make them want more. Mm-hmm. Big difference between that and the big world. So, and it's not saying that both can't work hand in hand. It's just I'm one of those people that think about both, and I think both matter to the fans.
Yeah, I noticed in yours, man, you do put on a show. There's lighting and there's, I mean, anything and everything that one would need to really bring the people in. It is definitely not boring. You are so energetic. But like I said on a previous show that I recorded, I have told many musicians that people do not go to a concert to watch your talent. They go to be entertained. And,
Yes.
Man, you do prove that.
Nobody ever went to hear a show; they went to see a show.
Very true. Well put.
You got to give it to them. You got to lay it down. You got to, I always say, you should play like there's a gun to your head. Like somebody's going to pull the trigger if you don't get out there and play at your utmost, adrenaline and passion. Somebody's going to pull the trigger and take your life. And I kind of play with that mentality. But it's not, you can't just play with that mentality by itself. You have to, as much as you study technique and application of music and inspiration of music, you need to study showmanship and how to convey persona and convey, an image to, an audience. And then if you want to take it one step farther in what I do, then it's, it's being able to convey that with the stage and with the lighting, with the multimedia film, with the dynamics of the set, the dynamics of the performers, and the arrangements of the songs to convey that. If you do everything, if we yell and scream all the time, there's really nowhere to go. But if we talk at a normal tone, we can whisper or we can raise our voice. Now we have dynamics, and the same with the show. If you hit heavy and hard, what do you got to go after that? You have to be able to understand how to get around to where you can reset somebody's mind as visually and audibly to where, you keep them entertained. And for that 90 minutes or 2-hour show you're doing, or in some cases, some of the listeners are probably doing more like 45-minute, 35-minute sets, how do you really convey that? Not stroke your ego, not, try to get laid or anything like that. How do you really make special connections with your fans? That's what it's about. And using all that's in your capacity in a concert scenario and understanding how those elements work towards the viewer is where you're able to, I think, encompass that world and take your live performance, which is really how the industry works anymore, to that next level.
Yeah, you and I had spoke a couple of days ago about the fact that musicians, I did notice when I was watching you guys, you have a lot of chemistry between all of you. And you guys are always working together. You're a team. And even when somebody's doing a solo, everybody's involved in one way or another. You guys are definitely a team up there. No one person steals the show. And you and I had spoke a couple of days ago regarding one of the mistakes that you see young artists make is that they will they'll form a band with friends or people that they want to play with, but not necessarily making the best business choice. And we were also talking about the fact that if you're going to get into music, you really do need to treat it like a business and know the industry, know the business, and make wise decisions for your music. And it definitely shows that you did that and took the time to pick the right people, because you guys are definitely a team.
Well, you're hitting the nail 100% on the head. It's so important. If you want to be that rock star, you want to make a living doing music, then it becomes a business. If you just want to, get up and play music and have fun, that is just as valuable as being a professional musician. But it's not as important to people you play with. But if you're trying to make a living doing it, then it's very, very important to get everybody that understands the music industry, how much time and effort it takes, how much of your finances it takes, how much it takes to cultivate your life so that you can pursue music 100%. And, not always make band choices based on friends or relationships. You have to make them based on what's the best opportunity for the band. Oftentimes, most of the time I see it's the singer. You got some singer in the band that, is kind of the guy doing most of the work. He's so passionate, but the bottom line, he can't sing. He's one of those people on American Idol that just ain't going to go. And in a band, you gotta be able to realize that and cut it out and fix it, or the drummer who's only showing up late and is not putting the money in towards the demo, or whatever it is. You gotta cut friendship out. If you really want to make it, you have to make those sacrifices, and those sacrifices sometimes are hard choices. And not only is the most favorable in the band, but that's the difference between those who make it big. And I'm not talking about just throwing people under the bus to go somewhere. If a band's working together and you guys got the goods, be patient and work hard. But if you don't have, if there's people in the band not pulling the weight, a chain's only as strong as its weakest link. And it's easy to say that, but the reality of it is, and as a musician, you have to understand that, and you have to do something about it to get yourself to the next level, or those people can really hold you back from wonderful opportunities. And make no mistake about it, the music industry is like waves. It's like a set of waves. Any surfer that goes, and I'm not a surfer, but a surfer that goes out, there's a certain time where certain waves will come in, and they'll wait for that set because that's going to be the best surf. Well, those things come and go throughout the day. And if you make the wrong decisions too late, you could miss your music set. You could miss that door that was going to open 3 weeks ago, but you didn't make that decision, and therefore you missed out, and that might set you back 3 or 4 years. And so you have to be smart and just cut to the chase and do what's right. And if you don't know what's right, you should be working with a producer, working with somebody who can help, dial you in straight, or meet with a consultant that can sit down and throw a couple bucks at them, sit down, listen to your stuff, meet the band, and just level with you and just say, look, this is what works, this is what doesn't. Sorry, guys.
And I
wish you the best.
You and I had spoke about that too, about the fact that a lot of musicians choose not to use a producer because they feel that they can just buy the software and do their own music. And you had a lot to say about that as well. So why don't you share your feelings on that?
Well, I think musicians, or us as people, really get self-indulgent with our stuff, especially if we're an artist. You write something, it means something to you, and it's oftentimes, you got to be able to look in the mirror and see the truth. You got to look in the mirror and go, I'm 20 pounds overweight. You can't look in the mirror and go, suck it in and go, all is good. In the music world, you have to, and oftentimes what I'm trying to say, musicians don't see themselves like their listeners see them or hear them. And so that's why producers are so important. And back in the day when there was more of a music industry, run by record labels, whenever, the record label, i.e. the bank, gave you a bunch of money, they always made sure they had a producer. That way they made sure that the quality of stuff was going to be as good as it should be. And I know as a producer myself, oftentimes most bands, if there's 10 songs on the album, we've gone through 50. And if he didn't have 50 songs, they end up writing 50 songs for the end of the day. But at the end of the day, I have a solid album that helps that artist get to where they need to go. And a lot of the artists I've worked with have, got their songs in movies, and, I've won, competitions out of 70,000 people nationwide, songwriting competitions, etc. But you need that outside source of somebody who knows quality control and understands the arrangement aspects of it, and that is there to help you. And most artists just don't understand it. They think, well, all I need is a Pro Tools unit, and I'm good to go. And they don't understand that a producer has studied for years and years and years to understand how to, get your music where it needs to get for radio, or just what song sucks and what song doesn't. That's what they do. And the same with a recording engineer. They study years in effects and how to mix this and how to mix that, and understanding the fidelity spectrum and everything else to put together this album that's popping, and it's got a high dB level and it sounds like Christmas. It's just most artists aren't willing to do that or pay that price, which once again gets into, do you want to make it or not? If you don't want to make it, then just hoard everything yourself, think you know everything, because you can't teach somebody if they think they know everything. But if you really want to make it, and you want to do what you need to do and get out there and be successful, work with people that can help you accomplish those things, and don't work with somebody that's totally against everything you are. Find somebody you're a fan of, but trust them. If they're the real deal, let them do their job, let them help you. And I think a lot more artists would find success, and I see it all the time in the film world, DVD shoots, And I see it a lot in like albums, and even the way people pursue their career. They don't have a clear-cut vision how they're going to get from point A to point B. They're just going out there beating against wall. It's like a machete in the jungle, and you're just chopping every which way, thinking one time you're going to hit a branch and you're going to find that secret oasis that you're going to spend the rest of your life in. You have to have direction. You got to know where you're going, and there's people that can help you. And artists need to get off their high horse, humble themselves, and approach this as a business and get people that can really help put their music where it needs to be.
Yeah, that's true of just about any business. I find that a lot with entrepreneurs as well, is that it's their baby, they created it, they're very passionate about it, so they want to keep it to themselves. But in reality, if you're going to succeed in music or anything else, you really do have to surround yourself with people. Do what you do best and let them do what they do best. And just surround yourself with people that you can really trust, that are qualified to do the job, and then trust them to do their part. Let go of the reins and let them do what they do best, and that's how you succeed in life. And I think
and to take that one step farther, if you want to produce your own stuff, then go study with a producer for 2 or 3 years. And
True.
if you want to, record yourself and mix it to where it sounds, poppin', then study engineering for a year or two. Put your time and effort in. Just don't, because you can write a song or sing, think that you can do all those other things as well. If you want to do those things and you're not going to trust someone else, then go learn what you need to know so you can do those things. Otherwise, get someone to help you.
So what actually got you into all the production that you do? Because you do not do things like everybody else. What led you to get to do the things you do the way you do them? They're just so unique.
I've always said, I asked a drummer once, I talked to a lot of drummers, of course, and I asked him, I said, who's your favorite drummer, man? And he pointed to himself, and he said, I'm my favorite drummer. And I told him, I said, listen, man, I said, you can always see the promised land. It's a lot easier to see the promised land from the shoulders of giants than it is standing on your own tippy toes. Well, I'm very fortunate in my career that, I'm a fan of so many great artists out there, whether it's Pink Floyd is one of my biggest, influences. Peter Gabriel musically is one of my biggest influences. I listen to a lot of different stuff. I watch a lot of different stuff. And, of course, being a product of the 80s and late 70s, I saw back then people had game. People just didn't get up there and play. They got up there and they made a statement. And for me, whether it was seeing Eddie Van Halen with a Marshalls going up to the ceiling and Alex Van Halen with a giant drum set, or watching Kiss blow up the freaking world, there was a persona. These guys were larger than life on stage, and to me, that's always influenced me. And because ultimately, you're, like you said, you're an entertaining people. You're an entertainer. You're not just a musician. You're not just a songwriter. If you are those things, you can do that at home and submit your music or get it on the radio from there. But if you're on a stage, you are now an entertainer, and you have to be able to entertain people. And it doesn't mean if you're a singer-songwriter that kind of kicks back in, the chair that, you should be lighting your hair on fire and running around the stage. But, you need to understand. But even that, if you're doing that, then why not put a couple candles out and, some ambience on the stage or something that makes sense to where you're creating an environment that visually is stimulating to what you're playing and what you're saying. And that gets into branding, which is, a production term that most bands don't have any clue about.
True.
And which, not only gets into the style of your music, it's the handle of who you are. And I teach musicians when, I deal with a consulting situation or this and that. I ask them a question. I go, what brand are you? And they can never answer, and if they do, it takes them about a minute. And you should have that preloaded. What style of music do you play? You should be able to, as a musician, be able to answer that in 5 seconds. You should be able to answer any of those questions in 10 seconds or less. You should already practice those answers, know those answers, and be able to definitively answer them like that, because anybody that is real in the industry asks you a question like that and you bobble, it tells me right away where you are in the industry. But branding, how you look from your album cover to the name of the band, to the name of your songs, I should pretty much have a good distinction of what kind of musicians you are, what you do, what your demographic is, etc. And record companies are heavy on that. And most bands, they play a certain style of music. They don't look like they sound. They don't dress like they sound. They don't act like they sound. Their songs don't even match from song to song and the topics they talk about, or the demographic they're trying to reach. And all these things, have to come together. And that's another thing that a good record producer will do, is make sure that there is a cohesive branding throughout your record, not just in how it sounds and the production of it and the times of it, but also the lyrics and the basic overall style of that. So branding is a big part of being a successful musician. And oftentimes that comes at the upper levels, and people come in and get in there. But today's artists, you gotta kind of learn that stuff now, understand it now, and be able to address it with your band situation.
Yeah, I think basically what you're saying in a lot of this is just that a producer's job is to know what sells and what doesn't, and how to get the people, that your audience, involved. And you can't just do that on your own necessarily. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk more. I'd love to hear more about production and why we need producers, because I think a lot of us miss that. So we'll be right back after this.
And we'll be right back with Highway to Success with Cynthia McIntosh right after this.
Hi, this is Nicolas Cage. When you're a teenager, there are a lot of things going on that can produce stress and anxiety. The pressures of school, dating, and the future in general can seem overwhelming sometimes. But there are healthy ways to deal with stress, ways to reduce it and channel your energy in positive directions. And you don't have to do it alone. The Will Rogers Institute has a free booklet with some really helpful information.
For your free copy, visit wrinstitute.org and find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi, this is Cynthia with the Highway to Success Show. I want to thank you for listening to our show today, and I sincerely hope that you're learning new and exciting ways to improve your marketing campaign and to build your business. I want to remind you that we will be here every Wednesday at noon, Pacific Standard Time, to bring you experts in the field of social media marketing, promotions, and business management. So be sure to tune in each week. The Highway to Success Show is brought to you by Success with McIntosh, and you can visit us on the web at successwithmacintosh.com or call us at 866-636-4696. That number again is 866-636-4696, or you can visit us on the web at successwithmacintosh.com.
Can you guess what's going on here? It's kids getting fit. Studies show that children and teens who get at least 60 minutes of physical activity a day reduce the risk of obesity, heart disease, anxiety, and increase their overall mood. So whether it's around your neighborhood or at school, just get out and play. For your free booklet, visit wrinstitute.org or call toll-free 877-957-7575 and find us on Facebook and Twitter. The Will Rogers Institute since 1936.
Hi, this is Cynthia from the Highway to Success Talk Show. If you or anyone in your family is an animal lover, I would like to tell you about a friend of mine, Ronnie, at A Cut Above Pet Salon in Laverne, California. A Cut Above Pet Salon provides wonderful care for your pets and also has a beautiful boutique where you can purchase everything from high-quality gourmet treats to beautiful handmade crystal collars to adorable clothing. Everything your pampered pet needs. So don't let Santa forget your pet this year. And if you don't have a pet, what would make a better holiday gift than a loving, furry friend? The Cut Above Pet Salon also has a no-kill pet rescue that provides shelter and care for rabbits, cats and kittens, dogs and puppies, and even turtles. Just go to yourpetsalon.com for information on how you can provide a loving home for one of our friends that she is currently taking care of, or how you can help support the animals waiting for a home. Please visit yourpetsalon.com or call Ronnie at 951-203-5560. That number again is 951-203-5560, or visit her at yourpetsalon.com.
And we're back with Highway to Success with Cynthia McIntosh.
I never heard anybody say they went to hear a concert. Nope, they saw a concert.
I feel bad that there's seats in this auditorium because I don't think anybody's going to want to be sitting in them.
A CG concert is exciting, all-encompassing, and it brings the audience into the rhythm world.
I really have designed my music to move people. It's very important for me to connect with people. I want to make them feel a certain way and move people.
Welcome back to the Highway to Success Show. We're talking to C.G. Ryche, and if you've missed the first half of the show, I wanted to remind you that you can always go to indie104.com to listen to this show and any of your other favorite shows. Just click on the On Demand tab and you will find them there. So, C.G., we were talking about producers and why musicians need them. So, we were talking about the fact that a lot of musicians feel that they can do their own music and just buy Pro Tools and do them. But a producer does not just get involved in producing the music as much as they need to know what works, what doesn't, what gets your audience involved, what sells, what doesn't. And you had a lot of good points, and we have a lot of indie musicians who are still trying to find their way, so I thought I'd let you tell us a little bit more about that and why we need producers instead of just trying to do everything ourselves.
Well, let me give you a couple things. One from the musician standpoint that's very, very important, the artist standpoint. When you're looking at a producer, these are things that a producer should be for you. Number one, they're not somebody that comes in and changes your style, rewrites your music, or takes you in a different direction than who you are and what you're about. Somebody who does that is not a producer. There's somebody who's trying to hijack your career and you know, has just got a power trip or just that's not what a producer does. The second thing, a producer never, a producer is somebody who's going to want to work with you and is going to be in it for your best interest. He's not in there for his best interest. He's there to do a job for you. And so that's something that artists need to understand. And one more thing is that most people that claim to be record producers haven't studied to be record producers, don't know very little about producing. What they know is that they have a studio or they have a name or they made it famous in a band. All of a sudden that makes them, they're a self-proclaimed producer. And and you get in there and your record might have a little bit better quality than, if you didn't use them, but at the end of the day, they're not going to deliver what a real producer would do. And if you look at any of these one-hit wonders, like we talked about yesterday, they come and go. They write this one great song, and that's it. But if you look at a great producer, whether it's Mutt Lange, AC/DC, Def Leppard, you look at Quincy Jones, Michael Jackson albums. You look at David Foster, who worked with Chicago, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. Those guys, every song they touch is a hit. The majority of everything they do makes Billboard. It makes it high on the charts because they're very selective. So those are things artists need to understand about producers. What producers look at from an artist, I won't even consider an artist unless they have not only they're talented, but they got a great attitude, they're passionate about what they do, and they're willing to take constructive criticism. Because I'm not there to fight with somebody. Two, I have to have somebody that lets me do my job. I can't battle back and forth of why I got to do everything. I'm happy to explain things, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here to help you. And if you don't have the songs to get started, I wouldn't even take you as a producer. I wouldn't even work with you because I got no interest. It's not. I don't do what I do for money. I make money doing what I do, and I make good money. But I don't do it. I do nothing because I have to. I turn 20 20 times more projects down than I take, just because it's not right. It's not happening, or the artist is self-indulgent or conceited. He's not going to get to where he needs to get, and I'm not going to waste my time trying to tell him that, or her that. So, but together, the need of the two, it isn't that the artist doesn't know what he wants or this and that. It's just that it's an art and a profession like anything else that you have to take years to study. The arrangements, the overall, branding of an album, the overall sound, what engineer you work with, how do you mix it, what's the basic format of your fidelities, where are you going to place, the drums, compared to the guitar throughout the album, how many ballads do you have, compared to rock songs? Is the band more ballad heavy than rock? What are the lyrics talking about? And then each song, we're trying to keep the songs around 3 minutes and 30 seconds or less. If it's a little over, that's okay, but, and how do you get there? How do you do it interesting? I mean, you can listen to like old Hall & Oates stuff, and they do stuff that's just masterful, how they get in and out of stuff, and it's like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. It's like, it sounds like a 4-minute song. It's just understanding all that stuff. It just takes a lot of studying and a lot of knowledge to be able to come into an artist and be able to do that. And that's why 98% of any artist out there works with a producer, because you got an outside ear and an outside eye that can help you. I mean, there's exceptions to the rule. I mean, Prince is an exception to the rule. Believe it or not, George Michael's, back in the day, he wrote and produced his own stuff.
Right.
But there's very few people that really do it. I mean, I do it, but I do it for a lot of other people, and I've been doing it for a lot of other people before I ever was doing it for myself. And I know how to, even my own songs, I rewrite them 4 or 5 times. I'm extremely hard on myself. But the only difference is people don't hear my music when it sucks. They hear it later after I've made the calls, and right. done what I need to do. And so, yeah, it just gets to the point, if you want to make it and you want to get established, you need to work with people that can bring to the table what you are lacking. And you can't just say you're a producer unless you've studied and and you spent hours and hours and hours. Think of this. Think if you weren't yourself and you were someone else, would you pay yourself to come arrange your music for you and to do what you're willing to do?
Good point. Well, that brings me to my next question, which would be, if I don't happen to be George Michael or Prince, and so I do need to have a producer, what are the questions, if I am interviewing a producer and considering working with him or her, what would be the questions that I would need to ask in order to decide whether that would be the producer for me?
Well, I mean, one, do you hit it off? And when somebody's looking at, no producer's really going to come at you and just go, hey, I want to do this for nothing. They got an angle, and that's number one to realize. When it's about money, I never do anything for money. I do everything for passion. There's always money involved, but there's a different dynamic when somebody believes in you and wants to see you succeed than somebody who's simply doing it to get a paycheck. Understand that, and that's across the film industry, and I actually learned that more from the film industry. Nobody's your friend. Everybody's got an angle. But find somebody that it's just, they're cool to hang out with. They got a background in the same type of music that you have a background in. I mean, if you listen to most artists that made it with a successful producer, oftentimes that producer understands the music that they write. Just like I was just watching a thing with Green Day, and the producer that worked with them was a guy that came from the same background of the punk scene, and they knew the same bands and this. So there was that connection that the guy understood who Green Day was, and from there they started, made the transition to go more pop from their roots, and of course they blew up, and the rest is history. But most bands have that similar story. Find a producer that understands you, that's got the same background, and has got a history of music with artists that are similar to what you do. You can listen to it and go, this is great stuff. This is, and it's done something. And, don't, talk is cheap. Find out the goods. Somebody that's just down to earth, they believe in you, and they got work that you're impressed with. If that's the case, then they're definitely somebody you should consider working with. Then the real question is, what do you want, to work with me? What's it going to take for me to get you to work with me? Or if it's like $50,000, often none of us have that kind of money. It's like, I don't have that kind of money, and then you have to think, is it worth going out trying to get it to make it happen? Or is there a way we can do a deal on the back end? Maybe I give you $20,000, and then you take a percentage on the back end. If you believe in me like you do, then, show me by, putting it together. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to pay you, but, take the the gross, the net on the back end. Just work out a deal. And if somebody really likes you, they want to see you, or they're hearing something in you that they know can do something. So find somebody that's really excited about your music and you as an artist, and more importantly, be the artist that they want to be excited in. Don't be just somebody that's talented that's really got a hidden agenda. You think you're gonna roll around in Ferraris and with 100 chicks and Lear jets, and actually you're a cocky, arrogant person just waiting to get money so you can unleash yourself. Don't be that person. Be somebody that's willing to work hard. The more successful you get, the harder you should work. Someone told me the other day with some of the projects I got going on, and they said, it's right when you get successful and some of the stuff you're starting to do, you're going to get to lay back. And I said, no. I said, the more successful I get, that just means the harder I'm going to have to work. Because I lead by example, and I lead, by hard work. I get successful because I work my ass off. And that's the reality of it. You work hard and you work correctly and you work in reality and you work your butt off. Sooner or later, foam rises to the top. And that's the reality of it. So be the right person. Find somebody you connect with. Find somebody that's got the same interest musically as you have, and most importantly, that they believe in you as an artist. Before you ever talk money, they believe in you.
Yeah, you don't strike me as the kind of person that's ever going to retire. I don't see you retiring. But you did mention a while back in this show that there are a lot of people out there that claim to be producers. So I guess my question would be, what would I ask a producer in order to find out their qualifications and decide? I won't necessarily know just because somebody believes in me and talks the talk and says that they want to support my work doesn't necessarily mean they know what they're doing. So what kind of questions can I ask a producer that will really let me know that that person is qualified and is going to do a good job for me?
Exactly. That's a great question. One, the question is that, you ask them is, where did you study production? Not who have you produced, where did you study? And see what they say. Well, I've been in bands and I just picked it up as I went along and blah, blah, blah. Well, right there, that's probably a red flag. They probably don't know what they're talking about. And then, second question, who have you produced? And it's like, a bunch of bands you've never heard of, then, that's not necessarily always a bad thing, but, I'd love to get a reel of some of the stuff you've done so I can listen to it, and it's not just based on the band's talent, but you really have to listen to the mix, the cohesiveness of the album, lyrically, all the things in branding, which, once again, you might not be dialed in on 100%. But here's another thing that I'll throw in that will help an artist out there. There are people out there that are called consultants. And oftentimes they're producers, and what they do is, let's say you have a project and you're real serious on doing it, but you really lack how am I going to get from point A to point B? We got a thing, but we really want to sit down with somebody who knows how to do this. And you sit down, they'll take your demo, or they'll listen to your band, and they'll come in and they'll go, okay, you want the truth? Cut the singer, or this and that, or get a producer, or blah, blah, blah. But let's say your band's tight. He goes, you guys are really good. You got a lot of potential. You're working hard. What I would do is I would get you're going to need a producer to work on this. And then oftentimes they can recommend somebody who is legit or definitely steer you in the right direction, or they can, sit down with you when you have those meetings and because you're not paying them a gazillion dollars. They'll do it for a couple bucks. And especially once again, if they believe in you, if they see you and they go, you guys are really, really good. I'm a fan of music. I'm in music because I love music. I want to see people successful. I love listening to great bands. And it's always a pleasure when you see some kids like trying to live their dreams and they got the goods, man. Right. All you want to do is help them.
Right.
And so. It's just getting around those people, which is easier said than done, but that's where you have to be driven. You have to put your nose to the grind, and you have to always be out there doing it. It doesn't mean, you leave your family at home and, you're a derelict dad because you're trying to make it big for your family. Family always comes before your music. But you have to get out there and and work and meet people and talk to people. And if you're good at what you do, people will talk about you and they will introduce you to other people.
Right.
And most of my career, I've gotten to where I've gotten because so-and-so saw me play or met me and see what I can do, and they recommend me to someone else, and then that person sees this and that, and I've done all kinds of stuff. I'll be going down to the Honda Center coming up, to talk to a big artist about directing a reality show for him.
How fun!
And based on the work I've done and based on who I am, we've never really even officially met, but he's a fan of what I do, and I had the opportunity to do that now because of what other people have said about me, and then that my online presence is big enough that people can check me out to see if I've done if I'm legit, and based on that, that's how you get from point A to point B. So, you have to get success to get success,
right?
And with a producer or anything else that's going to help you, you have to prove to them that you're worthy of their time and effort and this and that. Because sometimes you might not have the money, so you got to have the other things in spades. And if you do, and you're looking down that road, you're gonna have a better chance than not. But just make sure you got somebody that you listen to the music and you're happy with what you hear, and also they've studied with somebody and they, legitimate, and they ask them to name 10 of their top producers and see what they say. If they can't answer that, it's like if you're a guitarist, I say, who's your 10 top guitarists? Any of us can name that.
Right.
Well, if you study producing, you should be able to name,
the top 10 producers.
You should be able to name 10 directors if you're into film.
Good point.
Simple questions like that will reveal who someone is.
Now, you did mention consultants. Where would one go to find a good consultant? Do you have any suggestions on consultants that you can really trust?
Oftentimes, good producers will do consulting. So if you know somebody who's like a bigger name producer, let's say you're on an album and you love what this guy's done with the band, and you've heard him do something else, get a hold of him. Contact them. Oftentimes, they're not hard to get a hold of because they're looking for business. Get a hold of them and say, look, we're so-and-so band. We don't have money for, we're looking to whatever. What we want right now is for somebody to listen to our project and to give us some strong, solid feedback on where we are and what we need to do. Okay. And oftentimes, a good producer will say, yeah, sure, man, we can do that. Give me blah, blah, blah. And, and then, you shouldn't be paying gazillions of dollars. I mean, you need a couple $100 tops, that someone to come out and take 2 or 3 hours of their time to listen to your stuff and make sure you get a good vibe off them off the phone. If they're just kind of like short and to the point, then don't even bother. You got to go with your gut on this stuff, man. But find somebody that's very passionate, that's into it, and you like what they do, then get a hold of them and say, hey, man, this is what we want. And then everybody in the band come up with some money. Throw it down and just start there. Get the right people in front of you.
Right. Well, you are the epitome of passion, that is for sure. Well, tell me real quick, we've only got a few more minutes, but tell me about some of your upcoming projects that you're working on.
Oh, there was one major project I can't talk about. That's a major multi-million-dollar deal. We're still inking the deal right now, so I can't really talk about that. It'll be up in 2/14, but that's a real major deal. And just to, like we talked yesterday, this thing happened for me just playing my ass off. I was playing at a gig I wasn't supposed to be at. I filled in for somebody.
Wow.
And I was at the right place at the right time, and it was at a gig that nothing like this should have happened, and now, we're making a multi-million-dollar deal.
Wow.
So, but outside of that, my DVD still airs nationwide on PBS. It's C.G. Ryche, Echoes of Silence. Outside of that, I'm doing a lot of performing around town. I got a big concert coming up May 18th. This will be at the Lewis Family Playhouse, which is like a 600-seat performing arts center, and that's a concert I do all that myself, everything. But that's the big show with multimedia, lights, smoke, my full band, all my percussionists,
and
everything.
It is a scene.
I put that whole thing together, and then outside of that, I do some side. I get hired, believe it or not, a lot for stage jobs or choreographing stuff. But and in the film world, we just got done directing the 2013 Remo DVD with Chad Saxton from 311 and Cora Coleman from Prince, and so I'm gonna be dropping that off tomorrow. And then, like I said, I got some opportunities that somebody wants me to direct an actual reality show for him, which is not my reality show is not really my thing. I'm looking more in 5 or 6 years to be doing major motion pictures.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, it's a big opportunity, and it's a really big deal, and it's in the industry with some of the biggest names around. So, and I could go on and on. That, you know, I sound crazy when I keep going on and on, but seriously, I
Yeah, but what you said...
You get a lot done when you don't sleep, put it that way.
Yeah, well, one thing that you did say to me yesterday that really stuck with me was that you always want to be ready. Because
Yes.
you never, like you just said, you were at the right place at the right time and got your biggest gig, but that is a big thing that you always preach, apparently, is just be ready for anything and always be ready.
And being ready is more than just having a good attitude. It's building your inner structure so that when that opportunity comes, you're ready for it.
Right.
Oftentimes, opportunity comes knocking, and you're not ready for it. It's too early. You don't have your everything set. You don't have your inner structure built, and therefore it costs too much, and it takes too much to make things happen. But that's like I said, always build your inner structure. Have your answers down, preloaded. You know, always, and more importantly than any of this, be likable. Be likable to your fans and be likable, you know, to the people in the industry. Don't walk around at night with your sunglasses on acting like an arrogant prick. You know,
Yeah.
Smile, be nice to people, and be grateful for treat your fans like they're royalty, man, because they matter. And I'm not figuratively saying that. They're not about getting money. They're not about trying to get you to where you need to go. They're the people that hire you. They're your boss. Treat them and do what you do for them. If you do that, and you do it correctly, and you work with the right people, it should only be a matter of time before you can establish yourself and live in your dreams.
Good point. And, you know, we're running out of time, but I know you and I have talked about so many things. I would love to have you back on the show because you have a lot to say about a lot of different areas of the music business. And so I thank you so much for being on the show, and I would love to have you come back. So,
anytime.
And we will definitely do that then. Thank you again. I really appreciate it, and we'll talk again soon.
I appreciate your time, and thank you for listening out there.
Thank you. I want to thank you all again for listening to the Highway to Success show. I hope you enjoyed it. And I want to remind you that you can listen to this and all your other favorite Indie 104 shows by going to indie104.com and going to the on-demand page. The Highway to Success show was brought to you by Success with McIntosh. You can find us on successwithmacintosh.com, or you can call us at 866-636-4696. Again, that number is 866-636-4696, or you can visit us on successwithmacintosh.com. And with that, I'll say goodbye, and we will see you here next week on Indie 104.